how do you make sure you get to the exit holes to do what's needed? So from that standpoint, I mean, I guess still spot treat because it's part of the contract, but you may as well still have a plan to handle. Hey, Alexis.
Yeah, I hear them out there.
So these are different types of stuff.
I almost wrote down Alexis Potts. Just saying. Sounds like we're gonna have all four here. I think I hear Mark's voice.
Yep.
We do have a bunch of guys.
Oh,
Oh. Who were you with? Army or the,
Army, yeah.
really?
Oh. I was, way back.
Did you run the 82nd Airborne Division for them?
No, No, it was definitely Army.
Were you in Korea?
No,
You guys are gonna get recorded. Make sure you speak into the microphone.
we in,
I have the report.
And we have handy dandy microphone holders now.
These are nice. You got it set up.
What's the name of the place?
What?
This is now,
I'm
you got it
having
set up
trouble
so
thinking.
professionally.
I'm trying.
All the time, don't worry.
It was France.
It's 2 steps forward and 5 steps back and 6 steps forward.
Just the two places?
Was that World War II or?
Way after World War II. I'm not quite that old.
Just
Challenging.
I'm like running on one wheel. Something. Because, okay, I'm fine. No emails coming in.
France and
What?
Germany, you had a good deal.
And there you go.
I did, I had good, it was a good setup that I had.
We're all one
You
city.
really
You
wanna
can
know?
keep it.
The food. No, not the chef. The, it was on a base where we had food come to our place and it was
Front of the show. Frank?
sent
Yeah.
out to different
He's vice chair.
places.
Yep.
So you were like a cook?
No, no, I was a company clerk, as a matter of fact,
You were like a quartermaster?
something like that.
Supply guy? Somebody's gotta do it. There's a lot of jobs that gotta do this, I recall.
But I'll tell you what, I got more down here than I've had anywhere else, being in the hospital.
Jeff, can I ask you a
and
favor?
stuff. Any
Can you
problems?
do
I've had a whole
water
bunch of
bottles in a cooler
problems down here.
for the Citizens Academy?
like you
Because then I
live
don't
at
have to lug
Big
drinks around.
Pines, is that what you're saying?
Oh, no, I don't go there.
Thanks. We're gonna have Mo's.
My wife has
Gonna have
got good
Moe's.
insurance and I'm covered.
Oh, all right.
I never did do that with the,
Oh, now it's a meeting.
Baseline stuff.
with any of the,
VA.
yeah.
They got some good stuff,
Well, I realize that, but
yeah.
What are they doing?
I'm not involved. Are they just out there talking?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Sounds
go
like
grab
it.
them.
You want me to grab him?
You want to? You can let Frank know that he's in
It sounds
charge.
like they're out there.
Bring them in at knife point.
Oh. Hey, hey, look at you watch, look at you watch. Just checking on you guys,
Hey, we've
jeez.
been here, Jerry.
I know.
Give you a head start.
Oh, were you in the bathroom or what?
Okay, because Ruckert cannot make it. You're chairing, yeah. All of your stuff is at the dais.
Oh my gosh, really? Wow. What is all this stuff?
The stuff.
Individuals, huh? Oh, there's only 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 people altogether. That's all that's gonna be on the
A lot of voting.
block.
Really just kind of hold them.
I'll let you, yeah, I'll just let you.
Yeah, I don't know any of them.
We only have one
Oh,
alternate,
we need a pen.
we only have one alternate, right?
Isn't that what that is there?
That's like a marker for something.
Well, there's other things here. I don't see no pen.
She might have one.
There's a Robert rule in here.
Hey, welcome to a full seat, huh? You got to learn a new wardrobe every
Hey,
time.
good morning, guys. Good afternoon.
Yeah,
I don't want to get right
I got another right here.
Right?
I'm
Yeah,
just
so-
old pens.
All you gotta do is
dependable.
look in there, see? No, you're right. You're in front of me. I'm over
Yeah,
there.
you're
You're
here.
here. Gotta look in
Get
the
out of my
TV
seat,
cameras
will
where you,
Look, he's chairing.
I know, we were in the wrong seats.
No, Frank is chairing,
Oh,
that's
still
why
in
he's
the
in front
wrong-
of the
I go
You're still in
gavel.
the wrong seat.
There you
Cameras
go.
are, cameras are backwards.
Kinda, it's kind of like slanted.
You?
Okay, Frank's there?
Yes, he is.
Good man. Glad-
Who's here?
I don't know. Glad we paid you the big bucks, you could figure.
Right,
Yes,
all right. I'm gonna call the Veterans Advisory Board. We're gonna start the meeting. We'll start out with the pledge. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I guess now we'll have the citizens open forum. You speak 5 minutes, give your name and address for anyone that's gonna approach. Nobody? No takers? All right. Get the approval of the minutes of the last meeting dated July 22nd. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes dated July 22nd, 2019.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah,
All right, so move. All right, consider the options, conflict of moment, what is, monument, there's a conflict on the monument, I gather, which kind?
well, sort of. This is a continuation of the discussion from the last meeting about having a Vietnam Veterans Monument, but also it was put forth was an all-inclusive conflict, like all conflicts monument, and so that's where we're at now.
I thought Doug was gonna go back to the council and come up with something.
Right, I went back to council. I think, Chip, can you fill in on that? We didn't really discuss how to approach this topic.
Let's see here.
is this a
think
new
they were
At
one?
the
gonna go
time,
with
it
what you
was, there
wanna
was no
do.
particular, I think we were going with recommendation from the Veterans Advisory Board as to what direction, whether, what the options were. Whether it was gonna be a single monument, whether it was gonna be an all-inclusive monument, and then we talked about, locations throughout the park, that kind of thing.
It's originally brought up that it was gonna be a Vietnam, and then it changed to all war
Right,
monument.
well, what it came out to, I was actually at that meeting, I believe Kerry was at the meeting also.
Yeah, I was
And what it came out to is it definitely did not have to be a Vietnam Memorial Monument, but it was to be discussed upon the board, and we were supposed to bring it to the attention. We're supposed to come up with ideas, suggestions as to what we thought would be most appropriate there. We're supposed to look on the internet, go to different sites, do what it may be to come up with different suggestions, but city council agreed to defer back to us, but they said it did not have to be as suggested at the city council meeting a long time ago. It did not have to be the Vietnam Memorial Monument. So right now, as far as I understand, it's open.
What I got from the meeting here,
Yes.
not the council meeting, the meeting here, was that we'd start out with one monument and honor all the different wars and have different monuments. Wasn't that discussed? Or have them all in one area?
Well, I think it was more like what Mark said, is that there was no direct direction. It was coming from the board. When Mayor Beavis was here, Mayor Beaverland were here, they would support and help fundraise for wherever we were headed with your recommendation.
And no matter if it was just one monument there opposite of where the Purple Heart Memorial Monument is, or it would be
Or if it was a series of
an
monuments.
assortment of monuments, or have a initial monument where across from the Purple Heart Memorial, and then have other monuments spread out over the years throughout the park.
Right.
But it was entirely up to us as to what direction we wanted to go as far as the monuments.
What is everybody looking at?
Well, in our packet, I actually did a lot of homework on this, okay? And these were some of the ideas that we had come up with, or I had come up with, whether it be on the internet or it be at different parks. Okay, one was the POW monument. I'm
Some
sure,
of these look familiar, like Tampa
yes.
and stuff like that.
right.
Tampa's Veterans
Yeah,
Park.
I don't know that there's a wrong idea, maybe we could go there, and being there's so many of them, we could eliminate one and kind of go from there, and or say, no, this wouldn't be appropriate, just for,
I think I'd like to come up with our own monument
well,
rather
we,
than copy somebody.
we could, but it's like, okay, let's come up with an idea, okay, here's a monument, we could build on this, and we could change this one. We could design it our own way. And like I says, I went everything from putting a small howitzer on the last page to like, hey, you want something, or, okay. Another one I have, you can see what I went through there, and really appreciate Ann putting these all together for us. Here's just one, it's a really small tank. There's just,
See, something like this here, honoring all Army Marines,
right,
something like that. Does it have to, well, we already have that in the front, don't we? What do we have in the front of the
we have
park?
a fallen soldier memorial.
No, but what does it say when you go into Veterans Park there?
Brent took a picture of that for us, so.
Give me just a moment, I will find it, and I will let you all know.
Really good picture of the dog.
Are we saying that we are considering this as the board to do this?
Yeah, whatever.
Because
whatever we come
actually, it
up with.
wasn't really brought at that point, but the idea that it was going to be talked about today.
Right, that's what we're doing now. We're trying to figure out what's in the front when we walk in. If it's already got those, then we should have a monument with the different wars on it.
Okay, well, here was did you have this one from last meeting?
Probably did.
Yeah,
That would probably be the easier of them. Now, I don't know what the front of our park looks like if we have something like that now.
I don't believe we do.
And some of the discussion, I think, from the last time was that maybe there was a general monument that the city would help that we would put it for a general, and then throughout the park, smaller placards in a sense that establish, for the different wars that kind of tell a story as you walk through the park, in a sense. And, something maybe the size of an iPad here like this that kind of was like a brass placard or something. Maybe there's a design, but it wasn't a large monument throughout the park, because I think we talked that the park really can't accommodate it's not that size of a park in a sense.
I don't want to kill your whole budget now, you know?
No, but those individual monument placard type things that would be created would come from fundraising efforts, because I think it was mentioned by Mayor Beavis and Beaverland, it's probably easier for them to go out and fundraise if it's a particular conflict than it is in general. So if they kind of took a role in that, after the city was to put in something.
On this one, I don't know if you have that in your packet or whatever, you were talking about there in honor of all men and women who fought major conflicts past, present, and future. Then I have this pamphlet where it basically says
This one?
it's all American wars, and it has anything from the American Revolutionary War to the World War I down to the global war on terror.
I've got it.
So as far as if we're putting plaques up or little things like that, here's a definite,
Right, kind of acknowledging all of these.
it acknowledges all,
And we wouldn't have to do them all at once. It would be
Right.
a stepped progression. You know, so if we did a general monument at first, that's the desire and the direction. And then as fundraising went on, we would introduce the next, you know, kind of smaller monument.
okay.
Trying to think of how I would like it. Almost like a T marker in a sense. You know, like when you play golf, you have the T markers that are granite or something like that with a brass front or something.
And you're saying for each war going
It
down?
could. I mean, we don't have to, but not all at once. As we
Right, as we add on.
identify and progress. And,
I think we were there last time, we were trying to figure out which one come first.
Right,
So-
right.
Woodwar came first. It would be the, well, probably the American Revolutionary War.
Well, we don't mean wartime, which monument would come first? It was originally brought up that the Vietnam monument was gonna be the first one there. So we can build off that if you want. We can get into Vietnam, we can get into World War II, Afghanistan, Iraq. We can do all of them gradually as we go along, right?
and as the funds become available through fundraising efforts and so forth. Because I think that's where the idea would probably gain its momentum is, okay,
But I didn't think we needed a, quote, monument similar to, I mean, the Vietnam Memorial Monument is quite a large monument. Okay, just by design, I believe somebody had brought it up on their computer, what it looks like.
Right, but we could just have a monument honoring all Vietnam veterans.
Or you can have a monument in general, like that one that was on this page right here,
which one is that, Mark?
the second to last page,
This one here.
the one before the howitzer. Okay, like this one.
One with the eagle or the
The,
globe?
yeah, the one with kind of the globe and the
That's the
eagle.
one
on
I
it.
originally looked at, yeah.
Something similar to that.
But then that would make it a one monument
Correct.
if we went with that.
Correct. it would
Rather
be
than a number
one.
of them.
If you, something similar or something that acknowledged just all services and then all wars.
And if you look behind that monument right there, and it doesn't have to be exactly like this. It could be brought up for design or whatever. You were talking about the placards that were behind it. If you see the, excuse me, behind it, there's the granite
I see
stands.
those. Yes, I see
The
those.
granite stands actually have a plaque on there stating what this is about who was at what war, who,
Right.
how many were, just information about the war.
Right. Something maybe to that kind of, yeah, something like that. That's kind of the idea, I think, Frank, is what it was, is
Yeah.
that throughout the park, along the sidewalk area and through, as you walk through the park, it would be an educational piece I think,
Right.
as well.
To me, I think that would be the easiest, and plus it would cover all the wars, you know?
And eventually you would,
You
know,
just
you
put
would
the
know those-
information on each one, is what we're talking about, right?
Right.
Just adding that, how many killed in
How
that
many,
war, how
yeah,
many,
the years, the wounded, and yeah. And that's up for debate as, you know, from the board here as well to,
This is the simplest, I think what you said originally,
right, if we were looking at one.
because I think the last thing we want to do is offend anybody or anybody's parents.
Which one did you say would,
That's the
He likes
simplest.
this one.
I had thought that was a starter and then go around from there.
Right, but
That-
this would start, we'd have everybody listed, then we could work our ways
Yeah,
from
then you
this
can,
one, yeah.
if you want to,
That was the one that was presented, I guess, last meeting.
All right, to make it easy, can I get a motion to accept this here, Jerry?
make the motion.
Can I get a second?
Jerry, you like it?
Yeah,
The idea of putting everything on one,
That's the
right.
start.
okay, because
a
I'm
start,
not
but we're
catching
covering
everything
everybody.
that's being said today, for some reason. But you've got
Second
just
before
about
discussion.
everything on there. Do we
Well,
want to?
Jerry, I still need a second.
A second.
A second.
you need a
All right,
second?
go ahead.
Okay,
Go
now
ahead,
discussion, yeah.
Oh, did I say second?
No,
no,
I
no.
said second. I just asked you if you had a point of order.
A point of order?
No, whatever, just.
No, it's open for
It's
discussion.
open for
yeah.
discussion.
Okay.
Keep
I just wonder, all of these that are listed here are definitely war things that were created, and there were people that were involved with it. I know that there's a lot of people that may have been involved with some of it, but not that, with all of it. That's all. That's the only thing that I was
Are we
looking at.
talking about people in the city? What are we talking about?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Are we doing that?
No, it's gonna be a dedication to everyone, right, outside of the
Is this
city?
going to
or
be
in the
open
city?
to everybody?
When we say the Vietnam War, that would be everybody that served in that war, or if we say
But
Iraq,
this would be the first time that we've done this.
right.
Well, a lot of stuff that we're doing, Purple Heart
We're
Memorial was,
mainly dealing with the city.
Purple Heart Memorial was a first time we did that too. So it was, this is all unique to everybody.
What we wanna do is. draw
Is the
people-
city for that right now?
We're looking for recommendations from the board.
Oh, is that what it's after? Okay.
Okay, this is what's up there. That was from New Zealand. Yeah,
That's all it's got there.
that's
right?
all it got. It has right there, I mean.
Sounds like Jerry.
Can I ask how many cities have been involved with this type of thing? Are we the first time that we're doing this? No, we're the first one that's doing all of this. that's
No, they
listed
have them
here.
in every park. All this stuff he pulled out is coming from all different
Right,
veteran
yeah, no, I
parks.
realize that, yeah.
So they, every park honors everybody because you want to draw everybody to your park or your ceremony.
Well, that's what I was after too.
Right.
I thought that was a great thing to be involved with, and I still do, as a matter of fact. But the point being, a lot of these things that are listed here, just the idea of, that it would be people coming whose parents, like my parents were, my father was in World War I. But that was, it's something that would be nice for.
But when we have Veterans Day and Memorial Day, we're honoring everybody.
Yeah,
I mean, there's stuff that's not on there, it's like Panama, Grenada.
Right,
You're talking the big
right,
stuff.
right.
Yeah, basically, here's
And
a,
that's where the question comes up, is how general or how specific do you want to be on something like this? And then to be able to, like you said, Mark, with the other ones that's shown here with the globe, to honor those throughout the park. So do you do it here and then with placards throughout, or do you do it general?
I mean,
and then-
informational practice, yeah,
You know,
that sounds,
I would, my personal opinion, okay, would be something very similar to this. And we'd work on our own design. And then around the park, we would do this.
In little, and then, okay.
Yeah, and little information like this. And I don't know if you have a copy of this or whatever, but I mean, it basically goes who the last veteran was for World War I, or who, the last veteran of World War I died
I see.
in 2011 at age 110. There's just a lot of information on there, and this isn't inclusive. There's a lot of other information on a lot of other forms. But it's all subject, whatever the majority wants. I mean, it's,
well, right now, we got a motion and a
And a
second.
second,
We're
yes.
still open on discussion. And that was for this one, right?
well,
Can we
this,
agree on 2 points, maybe? 1, simple. 2, all-inclusive? To start.
okay, well, how do you classify this? This is simple and inclusive.
Correct, that's what.
So
yeah, that-
this care,
What fills that bill?
I believe this
Yeah, I
fills
would
the
agree.
bill of simple and inclusive.
Yeah,
Right.
And
And that's what we have a motion on now in a second, so.
we can expand later.
do
if
they
you
see
want.
this?
are we really looking for, and I'm asking this, are we really looking for something similar to this, Or are we gonna go on something that we wanna have?
You're talking about design. I think the design can be whatever we want
Yeah,
it to be, as
the
long as it
design
has
we can
the-
work out later.
That's
We have a
basically, you know,
base.
Right. We
that?
just need a base on this.
We have a base, and once we have the base, and then
Of what you
different
wanna say.
members, or we can bring it from the board.
A base of information of what you
We
want to
have a base,
include.
that, we want to start with that, and then you can go to monument makers, you can go to your design people in the city and say, hey, this really looks nice, because a lot of city people come up with really great creative ideas.
We want these words on this type of monument. What can you produce for us?
Right.
Right, and then we'll figure out
And then we'll-
the looks of it, yeah.
And then
then I can go with that, you know. That's basically why I was asking, if we're going to go with something like this, or what we're gonna be dealing with, you know, when the questions come up about what we wanted, how this is gonna be done.
yeah, so once I think we have that direction, which I think we have, then what we would do is we would go back and start to, with your assistance and guidance as well, is to research some designs, criteria, things like that, and then start to present those. You know, we'll present those at another Veterans Advisory Board meeting, so that then there's more consensus of, okay, this is the concept design, now let's kind of move in this direction in a sense.
All right, we got it.
Well, we got it, but.
Motion and a second.
We wanna have what we want as far as what we want, and not necessarily, you know,
Well,
knowing the same thing.
That's what we're voting on now as a board.
Oh, well, I wasn't, did somebody second,
I did.
first this? You firsted it?
No, there was a motion made, I seconded it,
And you opened it for
and you
discussion.
opened it for discussion.
Okay.
So,
So any further,
This is what I was saying, you know, the idea of, as long as we have the idea of how we want to have this thing done with,
right, and that's what
sure
we're
that-
gonna vote on right now.
you know,
Okay?
so that's our base, it's simple but inclusive. It covers both, all what we're looking for in general.
is there going to be a general here?
Anyway, we got a motion, a second. I gather there's no more
Discussion.
information,
No
no,
more
nothing.
discussion.
All right, I call for the, well, someone else is gonna call. I
Okay,
call for the vote. Good.
You can call for a vote.
Yeah.
All in favor, signify
All
by
in
saying
favor?
aye. Aye.
All opposed? All right,
Aye.
so
Did
moved.
I didn't oppose. You were too quick on that.
Okay, so that takes care of that. Yeah, so design and everything else will come up at a later date. But this is our base.
Base verbiage that we want on the sign.
Yeah, this is our base for our sign, and we go forward from here. And like I said, you can talk about the plaques or information.
Now we'll get into the meat of the
I ask
meeting.
one quick question, if I might. The people that are involved with coming up with this item, are they doing their thing and making sure that whatever's being?
This is you that's gonna decide. You're gonna decide.
Yeah, but that committee that brought before us, the two mayors,
They are there from a fundraising standpoint.
that's
So,
that's
yeah.
what I'm getting at.
Yeah, they're there from a front. So the city is committed to a monument, I believe. So you know, on the outside of that, if there's anything else around that we want to do, like the individual placard monuments, then that would be coming from a fundraising effort.
We have everything that we understand it, yeah, okay.
All right, let's move on, because we got a
I was gonna say,
great agenda here,
the
huh?
new Space Force is going to.
Right, we'll figure out the location. We're thinking opposite
Yeah, it's
the
gonna-
Purple Heart Monument.
Yeah, we have more work to do after this. This is just now gives us some guidance.
All right, now we'll get to the meat.
To answer your question, I believe the space was opposite of Purple Heart Memorial.
Yeah, we
So-
said that, but
yeah.
let's move on.
Okay.
We've already, let's discuss Veterans Day ceremony, all right? We're looking for a keynote speaker.
Correct?
We're looking for someone to sing the play, everything.
Right.
And we're looking for a color corps. Okay. Jeff, if you want to get up, just give your name, your address, and then you speak.
Good seeing you. Jeff Antos, 300 South Florida Avenue, Tarpon Springs. At our meeting, I guess it was Thursday, last week, whatever day it was,
Yeah, something like
you
that.
needed, first that you wanted to know about the color guard. And that's the one that took longest for me. I just have some logistical questions. I contacted the Marine Corps League, and they wanted to know what size color guard that you wanted, how elaborate that you wanted it. So I need some information on that. So I can give you a phone number and you can follow up with them and that'll be taken care
Okay.
of. The second issue was you wanted somebody to sing the national anthem in closing and maybe something else if you'd like. He can do some other songs. I have somebody, his name is Giorgio Arista. He's pretty famous. Carnegie Hall, very famous singer, and he's done a lot of fundraising around for veterans. He's a veteran himself also. And I can give you this and maybe follow up on, I need more logistical information on that when it stops and what you would like him to do. And he can go a broader spectrum if you'd like to. If you'd like a few more songs, he can do that. He's very powerful, big guy. And number 3, he wanted a speaker. On short-term notice, I've got Colonel Mike McAllister to speak. He's agreed to speak. He's Air War College graduate, Harvard, the whole thing. He's spoken national television, spoken all over the state of Florida. You can Google him if you need to. I brought a little bit of information about him, but he's already agreed to speak. Great speaker, very powerful, and people will be enthralled by what he says. And I wrote just a little, that's who he is. He was a former candidates for governor and for senator, by the way, also. So he's a pretty big speaker. And I think that's all you needed from me, I believe. You asked for 3, and I got you 3.
Who's, you're gonna bring the food or what? Might as well do it all,
I
right?
didn't talk about that, actually. I have. No. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
So we've got the speaker, the keynote speaker, we got color core. It's just a question of what we need. We're gonna do a 21-gun salute, I gather. So,
Yes, we just need to get the contact information for the Marine Corps League and answer their logistical questions. And if it's the will of the board, then we would be happy to do the 21-gun salute.
okay. No, if we have, do we have to take this to a vote?
No, you don't.
No.
Really, you're just providing an
just
update because.
No, I'm saying,
I do want
Discussion.
to,
right, we can open for discussion, but,
I do want to update the board that Dave Tilkey had volunteered to be the coordinator, and of course, he resigned from the board. I reached out off meeting through emails, and Frank Chicola volunteered to coordinate the ceremony. So you're just providing an update today.
Yep.
Good man.
We're good.
all right. So we're gonna get all the contact information, something on the keynote speaker, the whole 9 yards?
Yeah, I can get you whatever information you need. I didn't have any logistical information. I only had last year's program. So it's just a matter of what your needs are. They need to know ahead of time. The singer needs to prepare for his and Mike to prepare his speech.
Of course.
So-
If you,
Use
Jeff,
a
if you
state.
want to send that over to me, I'd be happy to contact them.
Absolutely, no problem. Anything else?
What else on the Veterans Day should we talk about? The Eagle.
Yep, I've contacted Largo for the Eagle. They are getting me in touch with the handler now that they have a permit. That was the sticking point before. It's the person who previously had the permit to handle the Eagle left the city, so they had new training. So I've been in contact, so we should be good.
And I think the other thing was we were deciding on how to set up the chairs. If they were gonna be set up like it was for the Purple Heart ceremony or the way it's been. And talking to you, you said it seemed like it worked well. We have the 2 big fans also, right?
Yep. We felt that the layout for the Purple Heart ceremony was very, very intimate. It provided us with 3 separate sections, 2 rows in the middle area. It brought everybody closer. The one thing that we do at Veterans is we do place a wreath. The thought process there is that if we just asked everybody to face to the left as the wreath was placed, they would still be able to see what was taking place. So if you guys are comfortable with it, we like to hold that location the same that we did for Purple Heart.
That's, seems like an odd look. You know, have the chairs facing east, is what you're talking about? Or just have the tent reoriented?
It would set up the same as it was for Purple Heart.
So you'd be facing the Purple Heart
The Purple Heart,
Memorial instead
During
of.
the entire ceremony, you'd be facing the Purple Heart?
you would.
seems odd because it's a Veterans Day ceremony and and we're going to be inducting names onto the wall. So it would seem to me, I mean, I think it was very nice at the Purple Heart, but I also think it just kind of wouldn't, I think we should, in my opinion, I think we should face, being it's a Veterans Day, maybe you want to do it Memorial Day, that's great, you could face that because you got a lot of servicemen, KIAs, POWs, so on and so forth. It's more specific with the Purple Heart monument until we get the other monument up there to have it that way. But I think on Veterans Day, I think we should face in my opinion, I think we should face the
wall?
The wall.
Okay.
I think whichever way, like, I was at a convention during that ceremony, but if you seem like you had a lot more room, there was a lot more you could do facing that way, then I'm all for it. All right. I'm gonna pass it down to
we'll
you
do whatever
guys.
you guys
What do
want.
you feel on that?
I'm having a problem understanding what everybody's talking about. I really am. I'm not trying to, maybe because I'm way over here.
No, we were discussing the direction that we would be facing. For example, at the Purple Heart ceremony, the chairs were set up facing towards the east, towards the Purple Heart monument.
Oh, that was great.
The discussion
I'm
is that for Veterans Day, do we continue to face that direction because of the way that the intimacy of the setting, or do we turn back and we go the way that we have in the past for Veterans Day? So just trying to get some feedback from the board here on how they would like to see the layout.
I thought it was pretty good. I really did.
So
I
you're
don't know how
for
you felt.
facing that way?
Huh?
You're for facing
Yeah.
the way you were for the Purple Heart, right?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Either way is good. I think it's 6
We
of
want to
1.
get a majority here, decision here on what everybody feels.
Well, okay, just if you take the votes, I say for Veterans Day, we should face the Veterans monuments. That's my opinion. And for other ceremonies, we should face you can face any way you want.
I'm for where it's more convenient. I wasn't here for that ceremony, so I don't know.
Takes just as much time to set them up either way. So it's just a matter of, and I understand what you're saying, Mark, is because you're honoring the veterans that day and the veterans wall is behind. So we have no problem with that.
And yeah, they're going to be getting up, looking at the wall and all that. I gather that's probably right.
Either way, nobody was in the sun.
No.
And we have big fans.
And we have fans now. So we purchased those fans. So we'll be having, it'll be a little bit nicer.
Okay.
And I have no problem whichever way you want to go with it.
Okay, yeah, either do we.
All right, next thing on the agenda is,
Okay, go ahead.
looking at the applications that we have.
Can I back it up before we go to the applications?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
You already did.
No, I just asked you, you're chair.
No, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Two of the things that I would like to see, well, one for sure, was the cleaning of the monuments prior to Veterans Day, if possible. Okay. You see the discolorations on the bottom, and we noticed that, I guess, from the water seeping up into the monument or whatever, but you should be able to either acid, according to the people that know that kind of stuff over at Curlew Hills, they said you should be able to either acid wash it down real lightly or get somebody to do it, because what you have a really nice monument on top, then you have a water mark. It kind of looks like a sweat stain on the monument. Okay, so if we could kind of,
I think we've cleaned that before.
we have, but I was just out there not too long ago and it's still,
So you want it on a maintenance type schedule?
yes.
Is that possible?
So that was part one of that. Part two is a lot of the, I think the word is pointing. A lot of the names are fading. Some of the names that are facing east, okay, are actually, the paint or whatever they have in there is coming off. So it kind of looks like something up at Bushnell where half the stone's facing east, you don't know who's there.
We
So-
typically renew the lithograph on
Okay.
that when we go to engrave the wall.
Okay, so the ones that need attention, Not all of them, I mean, but you could tell some of the ones need more attention than others.
Right, and part of that is because of the winds coming off of the bay, and also some of the engraving is shallower than other engravings, so it just doesn't quite keep the color, but.
All right, as long as we
We
can,
clean it up front
as long as we
every
can
year.
clean it up. Okay, the last one was the photos. Do we have somebody now, you said, I discussed that with you, we have somebody in staff that's going to do that?
Yeah, we have an in-house photographer now.
Okay,
And I will thank Suda publicly. She did a great job with those. I know there was some confusion with her website, although, all the photos there were free. But, yeah, we do have an in-house person right now.
great, thank
I
you.
think we've done that as far as we had somebody come out and look at them and try to touch them up. Wasn't that a couple of years ago we had somebody do that?
We do them actually do it every year,
Right.
yeah, but they fade quickly, so.
Okay. Just so it looks nice part of the monument, like I says, and then if we can clean them up and make them look pretty, but that's great. Thank you.
We into the
Applications.
Veterans Wall.
What we're gonna do is go through them all, and if there's any in question, put it aside, and then we'll discuss it at the end of it.
Well, that's what we're doing,
Yeah.
I think. Right, John? Yeah.
Navy guy. Navy guy.
Um,
You were Army?
yeah.
What's an FA in the Navy?
Dave Chilkey isn't here, which are doing.
Yeah, I know. He's on Navy Reservist.
What were the requirements again for having your name?
Living in the city of Oldsmar. If somebody lived in the city or lived at one time in the city.
The veteran had to live in the city, or
Yes.
the relative had to live in the
The
city?
veteran had to live in the
Veteran
city.
had-
Veteran had to live in the
Yes.
city.
Yes.
And it's gotta be an honorable discharge.
Correct. Yes.
I'm glad there's only 9 of them.
The Shannon family is,
How many Shannons have we got here?
4 Shannons, 1 father and 3 sons, and I did confirm that they lived here for about 5 years in the late 50s, early 60s. They owned a home here.
Are we accepting the National Guard?
I believe so.
Are we? Well, I'm just saying, because they fall under the state rather than DOD.
Oh. I don't know. I
That's
mean,
why the
I
governor
just
can
thought
deploy
they
'em
were
anywhere.
military. I could double check if we have National Guard on the wall, or you could make a determination today. We sort of need to have direction absolutely, though, so that we can get the engraving done this year.
I would think because National Guard can be called up to action.
Well, that's the
I
ones,
believe I recall some National Guard
right,
names
if
on
they're
the wall.
deployed, That's the same with benefits with VA. If they're deployed,
Yes.
then they get benefits and everything.
Right.
So I wouldn't see why they wouldn't be.
I've never heard of them being excluded.
There's a gentleman standing up there.
While we're looking, you got a question?
Yeah, I was asking, like on our previous Purple Heart and Memorial Day, we had side tents set up where veterans organizations were able to recruit.
We're gonna go over that right
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
In this discussion here, because
Okay.
there's some other tents and areas that we're gonna need.
Yeah, it'd be
out
good.
there.
'Cause I'm
Right.
active with both the DAV and the VFW, and both would welcome the opportunity to speak with veterans.
All right.
Thank you.
We're gonna have the yellow ribbon out there also. Those are the ones that's got a network for if a veteran needs anything, he just clicks on and he's got it, so. How many do we have? How many tents do we have
There's 9.
that we could set up out there? 20?
Well, we had, 4 at ours? We had the brick, we had that one where all the Purple Heart guys came. So that was 2 where that Greg Amara was at. We had the VFW tent and they had another tent up there. Maybe just 3.
The,
Was it the Gold
Gold Star,
Stars?
Blue Star, was it the, Gold Star families?
Yeah, the Gold Star family. So at the last event, you had 4 tents, right?
Right now, I'm thinking the only tents we're gonna have out there is, we're gonna have the yellow ribbon out there, we're gonna have the VFW, Oldsmar out there, and I can't think of, there's gonna be a tent for the triage, right? For the dental? All right. We're also talking about, we're gonna have a bus out there, the dental bus,
Oh, okay, great.
you know, where it's free dental for veterans. So they get triaged and then that'll be all set up out there. So a tent would be good outside of the bus area or what?
we're right next to them.
Okay. Does somebody want to speak on that? Give just information on, yeah, go ahead, come.
There's 2 groups that I've talked to you a little bit about, Frank. One group is called Florida Food Source, which they supply food to the area food banks and other things, but they're 501c nonprofit. They give free food to families, and that's what it is. And they specialize in veterans. It's a wonderful group. And the second one is Smile Faith Veterans Dental Clinic. And they do free dental care for any veterans that are not attended to by the VA. They don't qualify for the VA. And what they will also do is they will also work with their families at a very small charge, $30 or $40. They'll do major work. Typically at most events, they will bring in 3 dentists or so, and all their equipment is already on the bus. The bus is high-tech, just a wonderful thing that they've done. And they'll work on 100, maybe, veterans at a time. They'll wait for.
One that goes out to the 3-day stand down?
Yes, yes. And I can give you whatever connection information you need with them. They have a clinic up in Newport Richey, where the people go up there for larger, more difficult operations, whatever that may be, caps and things. And they help the veterans and people who are having difficulties get jobs also. And they have a lab, they have a number of different things. It's a great organization, and they're gonna come with the bus and give people a chance to look at it, see what's going on, explain to them what happens, and expose them to what's available to them if there's any needs.
Okay.
So, and the same with the Food Force, they feed anybody for free, so.
So now on Smile Face, let's say.
Yes.
They'll have somebody that can just get up briefly and talk about what they have and Anybody interested can show up at that tent and take a look at the bus and everything else, correct?
Pretty much, well, I can pretty much have them speak to whatever that you need. Again, I didn't have any logistic to talk to them about. I got it all set up so that they will come. The only reason people don't go there is because they don't know about it. And what we're looking to do is to find veterans that can be reached when they need to be worked on. I mean, when there's availability, a lot of the veterans don't follow through for one reason or another. You know, don't answer their emails or their phones or their texts or whatever it is, whatever way that they have, even mail, they don't answer. So it makes it difficult for them to keep their dentist on full time. So
I've had them at the congressman's advisory meeting, if you remember when we talked.
Yeah.
Aye.
501, fully funded and no debt also too. And they also have another facility in Appalachia, which they do also. And there's a number of other projects they have going. They are also starting a dental school, which veterans will have a shot at it also. That will be opening up in January. So there's 4 different companies that they can work for, and they're nonprofit. So if there's any questions, you can just ask me, or I can give you contacts, whatever it is that you need.
As long as we have someone that can get up and briefly talk about what that's all about, that bus.
Sure.
And any veterans after the ceremony, if they want to come over and go through triage, then they'd be taken care of.
Yeah, once I get the hours down to tell them they'll be there, so the bus will be there for them to go through, and the food force will be right next to them. So I'm assuming you're going to have some way to bring the people. Is there a specific entryway, or I'm not sure how you're going to set it up this time?
As far as
Well, you want them to pass by these.
the bus, we're going to have probably up by that gazebo where we had the DAV van up there at one time. You know, I don't know, on the grass there.
Well, it makes sense to put them in a situation where people can be exposed to it.
Right, it's going to be out there right out there.
So many people that have health problems because they have bad dental situations, and a lot of people die from problems that they have in their mouth. So getting them exposed and finding out that they don't have to pay for anything, and their families also or have the ability to spend $30 or $40 and be able to get something done that costs, I don't know, $150 or $200 at a regular dentist. So they'll do whatever you like.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Just a question for staff. Being there's going to be all these really great services coming to the Veterans Day ceremony, are we going to somehow be able to put that on our web page when we put it out there saying, in addition to a speaker, just like we have our flyers or our programs?
there's different.
Instead of waiting until the program comes out, that we could
Right.
have these services will also be available or be.
The information, they're not actually going to perform dental work as,
Right.
that day, but they can at least sign up and
Right.
get registered.
But like I said,
and-
just
yeah.
so that people out there that may look at the
Sure.
website might say, hey, this might be interesting to
Yeah,
come
we
in.
have different methods
Jeff
of
needs to give you a
marketing.
contact first to make
Yeah,
sure
we-
that we have
yeah.
the bus out there and everything before we write anything up.
May not be on every single piece of market, but it can certainly be on select marketing depending on
Right,
the
well,
media and how we
that
go
was
out,
just
right?
mine, you know, like says, okay, we're gonna have this speaker here, or we're gonna have this, we're gonna have the food bank there, although we do have Oldsmar Cares. We also have this food bank, which also provides for veterans, so it's just as long as we broadcast it out there somehow, that these services are also gonna be attended.
All right, getting to these applications, okay? I have not found one that's bad. I don't know about anybody else, if they have any in question.
I have no
No.
objection.
I do.
All right,
I do too.
You want to go ahead, John?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Some of these, and I know a lot of these streets are over there in the one development, but there's a couple of these streets that don't make sense. And I'm just wondering, these people that have brought forward the names of these people, that just, whether they're in our area or not. I don't know where Countryside Road is. Is that over in your area?
Countryside Road, no, but there's Countryside Key there, and I don't know if they named one of their streets there, but
Well, it
Countryside
says
Road,
I did
Countryside
confirm that
Club.
all of the Oldsmar addresses provided are in the city limits of Oldsmar, but which one are you looking at? Which application?
This is Shannon.
Correct. Right now, they do not live there, but they, at one time, they did live in the
Right,
city.
they don't have to
Oh,
live
they're
here
all
now.
confirmed is what you
Yes,
have?
yes,
Okay,
yeah.
that was one in particular.
Yeah, so somebody has confirmed that those are correct addresses.
I did,
Yeah, the only one that is not confirmed then is Mr. Tuck.
correct. We did not have a way to confirm because he didn't have a license at the time. He didn't have, and it was over 30 years ago. They don't have mail that went to him. It wasn't, he didn't own the house. He wouldn't have had the water bill. He lived with his daughter.
That's this one
I
here.
was looking at the statement there that just said, Dad stayed with my sister back in, but did that meet the 1 year requirement or?
As far as you know, I did tell him there was a 1 year requirement.
Yeah.
And
I
I
mean, I
asked
have
him,
no
I asked
problem
him to
putting
add
it-
that statement in there because he's like, I don't have, I said, well, you need to have a statement in there saying what the situation is. You know, and then given the rest of the information he provided, I believe there's quite a bit on Mr. Tuck, the last application.
I see the majority of these are in
I mean, it has newspaper articles and.
Saying there's, that's what he was able to come up with. He went, and he's,
You know, it has them decorated, you know, it was
I
just,
have no problem with that.
yeah, it was just the city, the residents you have a problem with.
And we can waiver that, right?
you could accept his statement in good faith,
Yeah,
doesn't
Except, yeah,
have to prove it.
accept it as face value.
right?
Trying to figure out his time in service.
I see most of these people come from your area.
42 to 45?
This time
Well,
is
46.
42 to 46.
Shows there, but I wanted to match it with the, there's no DD 214 here,
Yeah,
just
I
a
don't think they
discharge.
did that back then.
Which one is that?
Mr. Tuck. Based on the newspaper articles, I'm gonna say he honorably served.
Yeah, it says certificate of discharge under honorable conditions, and then it gives 1946 as the date.
I think the closest you came to is that document instead of a DD 214.
Looks like something out of his medical record.
It has basically the same information that a DD 214 has.
Right, but then anybody can put something on it, you know what I'm saying? So,
I go with, this guy was a medical officer in the Navy. so-
but I'm thinking, you know, I have no problem with it.
Yeah, I got no problem with him either.
Okay.
Want to vote?
I agree. That's fine.
So everybody's gone through all the applications. Can I get a motion to accept all the applications?
Yes.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Are we accepting the tux?
We're voting on it now.
Oh.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, so carried. We're done with the applications.
We do have
I
to
know,
select
just
one of
kinda
them to
strange.
be a wreath bearer.
He had a tough life.
Usually for the Veterans Day ceremony, one of the engravees or inductees will be the ones to carry the wreath. I don't know if you noticed in the Shannon family, they did lose their youngest son, youngest brother, right? To what looked like service-related injuries. I'm not sure if you want to have two people be a wreath bearer from that family, or if there's somebody else you'd like to choose from the applications. A lot of
And the
times.
ones that are deceased you're talking about.
Which one's deceased?
The father and the youngest son were deceased. And when you look at the paperwork provided for the youngest son, it looked like it was service-connected, potentially.
Does he live in the area?
Who?
Relative or anybody?
The Shannons, I think both of them, the older sons do. One's, oh, right. Yeah, one's on Country Club, and it says, it's,
So we have an address on someone to contact, correct?
oh, wait. Oh, yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't look closely enough for them being currently around here.
Which one are we referring to?
No, they may not be local. I withdraw my recommendation. Select one, please.
All right.
See who shows up, the oldest guy that shows up.
Well, we sort of have them in the program named, so that would be nice. I know that Sal is here. Of course, Mr. Foster is local. Mr. Martin. So the first three are both local. Oh, Mr. Minton, he's local. The Shannons are not, and of course, Mr. Tuck is not. So it's really just the first four would be local to choose from.
All right. So now we just need to discuss agenda items on,
Well, you know, you need to select somebody to be the wreath bearer for the Veterans Day ceremony.
I'll go with the order of the Martins, just third one down, William Martin. He's went in at 62, 68.
Okay, so I'll contact William Martin and offer for him
Yeah,
too. Okay.
yeah. So we're going with that one.
We'll go with that one.
All right,
Good one.
now we're gonna go with whatever the agenda items are gonna be at our future.
Yeah, I
Veteran-
just, I wanted to point out how, John, it was wonderful how you had something to present at the last meeting. And I want you to know that it's a much easier process. So anybody who wants something to go on the agenda, you just let me know. If you want something included in the packet, you just send it to me or give it to me and I can scan it and include it in. So I just want to make sure that everybody knew you're able to do that. It's in your power. I just wanted to share that. That was easy.
Make it a lot easier, right?
Yeah, sure. So, and anybody can, whether you're full or alternate, doesn't matter, you can bring something to the board.
Okay. I'm gonna review the ceremony.
So I just wanted the ceremony coordination thing. I just wanted to show a schedule, share a schedule with who's been coordinating ceremonies in the past.
You mean as far as the speakers and everything else?
Like
the
you're, right
ceremony?
now, you're doing Veterans Day
The
ceremony,
liaison
right?
between,
The liaison. Just sharing, you know, who's done that in the past and bringing up that alternates can help there as well. You know, but just, you know, pointing out we need people to say, hey, yeah, I'll do it. But I just wanted to share what the schedule's been in the past because it's not always right there in one spot. So there's
Right,
a snapshot and I shared it.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, yeah. just
Fine
so
with
we-
me.
I was just sharing the information.
Now we just need to accept 2020 meeting dates, correct?
Yes, sir. A motion on that one would be good.
Can I get a motion to accept those dates?
Can I get a motion to hear what is going on right
It's on the
now?
back of your sheet,
Huh?
the dates.
These dates for next year's meeting. You okay
Oh.
with those?
Is that on the back of some sheet that, oh, I have, okay.
Where's the dates I'm missing in there, kid?
Well, they either can be good or they can't. At this point,
It's the next meeting. is
Yeah, well,
January.
next meeting is, I didn't know if we were going, like, anything past that.
No, we're not going beyond.
We're not going past the January one, right?
What do you mean?
Well, as per your comment,
It
except.
shows just
two-
January
it-
meeting.
It just shows January meeting. Right?
oh, 3 meetings,
Good.
wow.
Well, there should be 4 meetings.
this is the meeting schedule for next year, 2020.
I'm missing,
We go every quarter, last page, page
Okay.
10.
January, April, and July,
Yeah,
and September.
it's on, yeah, it's on the very last page of the packet.
got it,
That's the meeting schedule.
okay. I mean,
Can I get a motion to accept those dates?
second,
Second, all in favor?
aye.
So move. All right, next item is,
Can I have permission to talk about something that I should have added to the agenda but didn't?
you know what?
She wants permission.
I would like to bring something up that I did not add to the agenda, but I should have. Okay.
yeah.
So what happened was, of course, Dave Tilkey resigned. John Paskett was offered being the full member. He decided that was not for him at this time. Ricard Smith has moved up to be full member, and now we have an open alternate member position. We have 3 applications that could be reviewed of people who are not currently on boards. There is a resolution where you are to consider those people first, and then if you wanted to, if they did not meet whatever the requirements are, the discussion is, then you could review the other ones. We have 3 other ones of people who are on boards. In the past, a big point of discussion has been on this board as far as whether or not you are required or you prefer somebody to be a veteran in order to be a board member. I don't know that that's a discussion to have for today, or if that's something maybe we should discuss in January, but it does make a difference, because I'm pretty sure that the 3 applications I have, none of them are veterans. And I could call to confirm as well.
I believe that was original,
That they would be.
that they would be.
Yeah.
I believe that was, when we were setting up the board many years ago, that was a prerequisite.
It's not on the resolution specifically, and I know that point has come up quite
But
often.
I know when I went out and picked the board, when they asked me, the
Yes.
council, I went out and I picked just veterans, okay? Because they can understand a lot more what we're talking about. Non-veterans, you're talking about them looking at applications and a lot of other things and making decisions whether someone can go on the wall or not on the wall. If you're not a veteran, half the time you don't know what you're looking at, okay? So I just think it should be a veteran.
Okay, so what I would like is direction then, maybe in the form of a motion, second, and vote, for me to call the applicants to verify whether or not they're veterans. I'd hate to assume something and be wrong. And then I will come back with applications for the board to consider at the January meeting.
Okay,
Sounds good.
yeah.
I'd like somebody to make the motion.
Can I get a motion on that?
Yeah, make a motion
Second.
as you directed, as
I don't even know what we're talking about.
the first choice being veteran,
What are we talking about?
first choice being veteron.
Applicate, people that
preferred.
can come on the board,
And then
okay.
after that, we can discuss.
if they have to be a veteran or not.
Oh, uh-huh. Yeah, that was a big question.
That's it, precedent.
What we're
Joe, I
voting
guess,
on now, that they
if
have to
we
be.
says, okay, you put
Because
your
I
application
didn't quite
first.
catch the whole thing.
Right,
I know what the council said about, they prefer to have some, but they also said they'd prefer somebody that wasn't on another board to have first preference. Now, do we
And
go
by
against?
resolution, I can only, I would first bring you somebody who's not on another board, who is a veteran. Failing that, then I would be bringing other people who are serving on other boards but are veterans, because the veteran would top,
Right,
what I would bring to you guys.
Because I know of some people that haven't signed up that would like to serve on the board, but I don't know that they've ever submitted their names.
well, then, prior to January, have them submit their information, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah, just encourage them to submit their form, Jerry, and I'll call them, confirm their veteran status, and then present the options to the January
Okay.
board meeting.
I'll get you a couple names.
we
Okay,
voted on this already, right?
Well, no, it was just.
I got a motion.
I got a motion and a second
Discussion,
that Ann was going to do as proposed, have the
Right.
veterans preference coming into play, have the 3 coming up,
I got it.
or whatever you said. Okay.
all in
All in
favor?
favor? Aye.
We're for you, Ann.
Move.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
Whatever makes her smile.
We are rolling now.
Okay.
Find my agenda sheet.
Last thing you have is adjournment.
There's board comments if you guys wanted to.
All right.
Board comments.
Any board comments on anything that happened that we voted on today? Anything about the ceremony?
The only thing that I would have is just like, anybody have any input into the Purple Heart ceremony that went on? Any additions, deletions, completions, changes, anything out there Did it go good? What could be changed? Anything out there?
But this one right now is for
Who's doing it?
Right,
Veterans Day.
okay. Oh, for the Veterans Day, I thought it was just open.
How things
I
went.
thought it was
Open
open.
discussion on what
Okay,
we're
so it was
talking
open
about.
discussion, that's all I had.
No, we thought it went very well. We thought the ceremony
Okay.
went very, very well.
That's all I had.
Yeah.
Who is doing
As far as,
the,
the Veterans Day ceremony, no,
who's doing it? Who's going to do the thing from this group? Or is it?
Chairing it, I am.
Oh, you are,
Yeah.
okay.
okay.
I think
Okay.
too, one thing we didn't quite touch on, but it's probably being worked out, is who covers the BRIC program. That might be what you're asking about, Jerry, is who's gonna talk about the BRIC program at the ceremony?
I didn't catch that.
The BRIC program.
Are you gonna talk about the bricks at the Veterans Day ceremony?
If I need to, yeah.
You're the man.
You have your old notes, right?
I have the old notes.
Okay.
All right. That's all that I have on the agenda. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'm sorry, is there something on the
So
other
moved.
page?
No, that was just for the agenda items, that's 7, that was 8 and 9.
Yeah, we already did 8 and 9?
We did.
Already commented on.
We're on 9, we're looking for a
I
second.
told you
Okay,
about
it
napping.
went pretty quick, I'll tell you.
I
I
promised
was
it
on
would go
7.
fast, right?
Okay,
Okay, we got a motion.
so moved,
Yeah,
So move.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
of course.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Do we want to turn the applications into Ann because of privacy information?
Yeah.
So we
Which-
don't,
which
so
one?
we don't take them home and throw them in the garbage?
What's that?
I'll
The
shred them.
the veterans
Oh,
applications?
yes.
We need to, because it's got social security. and
Right.
everything.
We don't want it if you'll take it. Oh, wait a second.
You got other stuff in there?
You made it.
I'm gonna
They've already taken off.
I shall
Social
see you
Security.
Wednesday.
That's right now.
I'll see you Wednesday.
hold on.